So, welcome to the Voice podcast, the voice of integrity, compassion, and empathy. So, this podcast followed from a conversation with Rebecca Leppard, who is the co founder of Upgrading Women, which is this fantastic, heart passionate company that seeks to empower women in their business, to enable them to be their true reflection of who they are and to fully shine brightly. She is this founder, this support, basically to allow people to be them. And she's an absolute wonder. She's got this passion, power, and purpose behind her. And I thoroughly enjoyed that conversation. And this podcast, really, our conversation that we had on Zoom was just as a let's try this, let's connect. We'd never met each other, never spoken to each other, purely just through the LinkedIn platform. That we both had a comment. She had shared something about one man being on a picture that was talking about women's rights and equality, and how we had like a different perception of what it showed. And so we basically said, right, let's have a conversation. So it just really evolved from that. So what it turned out to be was communication. How we communicate, how words are perceived, how they're received, what's the energy behind those words, where are we coming from with that, those words that we express? Is it coming from fear, or is it coming from love and compassion and empathy? And we evolve into how do we get out there? How do we become the greatest gifts that we are into this world? And what do we have to overcome, and all the BS that we get through our conditioning of society, which can be so different from different cultures. You know, listening to what the Asian culture and the fear of failure and the shame and the guilt is so demoralizing that people take their own lives. And that, for me, is such a shock. And you know, this is really about society telling us what we should be, and what we should be more thinking about what we look like or what we're being, rather than who we are, and fully expressing who we are in complete self-love and acceptance, and to know that our uniqueness is a gift. And there's no such thing as failure. It's purely diversions. It could be actually you've learnt one thing and now you're going to move on to something else. And you know, nothing is constant, and it's changes and evolving through this. And we then go into this talk about the shaming for women that have had to go through the misuse of power that's gone through our generations. And I actually bring up my experience of late with regards to the energy of money, and actually it's feminine rather than the masculine, which is what I had previously thought as well. But it's the balance of the two, and how the rising of the feminine is coming up. And this is our power, it's our control, and it's not about over controlling somebody else. It's actually about finding your own power, your own sovereignty, and owning it and being it and fully embodying it. And when we break down from all the BS, the bullshit that society has created to us that has blocked us from being our power, we actually start to be something frigging amazing. And this is what we talk about. We talk about sex, periods, blood, giving birth, the gruesomeness of birthing, yet the joy of it all, and that life is basically a mix of all of it. It's the light, it's the shadows, it's the fear, it's the love, it's what makes us human. But ultimately what it comes down to is our choice. What do we choose? What do we choose to feel, see, and be? That is our power. That is empowerment. And when we fully embody that, when we know that we have choices, when we're aware of what we are doing and what the energy is behind our actions and behind our thoughts, this is when we make our magic. This is when we grow. This is when we create abundance and the life that we want, which is to be of joy. And She is full of passion, power, and purpose, Rebecca. So it was so lovely to hear her and to hear that she is, you know, rising of the feminine. She's supporting this. And this isn't, again, saying that men aren't important. This is what often gets misunderstood. It's actually, it's bringing up the equality, it's bringing this balance back, and we are going to be seeing that in many levels of our existence. We're going to see it in society, we're going to see it in our bodies, with the feminine and the masculine. We are both masculine and feminine, whether we're male or female, or whatever you identify yourself as. But we have this balance, and this is about creating it. And it's from our homeostasis of our bodies, in our relationships, in our life and work balance. It's then going to come through into society, the balance of power and the money. So there's going to be a whole load of shifting that has mostly been into like a more negative masculine aspect, which has been of fear. And now we're coming up with the rising of the feminine, this bringing back the power and bringing back equality. So I hope you enjoy this, and I certainly did. And it was just beautiful to just let it flow. And I think that's really important when we get out of our, especially me and my Miss Perfectionist and must have a plan, and just go with the flow, and amazing things happen. Get rid of the expectations and just go with it. So I hope you enjoy, and lots of love. Open your hearts and keep being you.
Yes.
Hi there, Rebecca. How you doing?
Hi, I'm very well, even though just as we're starting to record, of course, English weather never disappoints. It started raining.
Yes, it's been like that for a few days. So when you see, we have just met, literally coming on live, haven't we? We've connected through LinkedIn, and there was just something, want to start talking to you. So we don't actually know what we're actually going to talk about right now. So I'm going to start learning who you are, and you're going to start learning who I am. And so the first thing that comes, like, you're obviously not from England because you've not got used to this rain yet.
Exactly. So I am from Indonesia, a super large country, 300 million people in the tropics. So we do get rain, but our rain is like heavy monsoon rain. And it lasts forever. But we always know when it's going to rain. And
Okay.
Not like England when it's a lottery.
Yes. So you don't have to think, do I need to take a brolly or not today? You just know.
And also to learn what actually a brolly is, because the English language that I learned is straight from Hollywood TV. So that's why I got my accent, and that's how I got my vernaculars. So when I moved to England exactly 3 years ago, I had to learn a lot. For someone who do speak English, I have to learn a lot because, you know, when you say coach, it can mean a sofa, it can mean a bus.
Yes.
It can mean somebody who's teaching you to do something.
That's funny because you sort of, you know, as you learn that the language, you just take that for granted. And I think actually that's quite interesting because words can have such different meaning, can't they? And the tone of everything, which is quite interesting, is that how we can have a preconceived idea what something is and think somebody might understand what we're saying, but they might not.
Exactly. And it's, the thing is, when you have a growth mindset, as in everything that you're exposed to can be something that actually good for your growth, you would accept that so many things mean differently, and so many cultures put different tone, different gesture in a different way, and and you see it as something, oh, it's interesting, I want to learn more, instead of this is the way how it should be. This is how language was formed in the old Yi English, you know, because, for example, also, by the way, I'm married to a British copy editor. So that is like my pillow talk is all about language.
I was gonna say there's help there.
Yeah. So we discuss about how, you know, quote unquote, kids these days, they use the word literally the wrong way.
Okay.
It's not, because they say, oh my God, I'm literally dying to see you. Obviously not. You're not literally dying, right? But even though, what do you call it? By dictionary meaning, it's wrong. It's grammatically incorrect. But I often have to remind my husband that language is a consensus. If both the speaker and the audience agree of the meaning of the word, then all is well.
Makes sense.
Right?
Yeah.
So unless there's a miscommunications, then it's wrong.
Yeah.
If both understand it, like, oh my God, literally.
Yeah, I totally understand, and I can see how that's when miscommunication can happen, isn't it? When people have a different perception or attachment to a word.
Yeah.
You know, which you can, I'll put it, what's coming up to me now is like God, for instance, or spirituality. And what does that mean to people? And it can mean so many different things. And
saying even I think the way we met was on LinkedIn. We were commenting about feminism, socialism, and I think we touched on, I think we have a mutual friend, can't remember her name, Siska.
Yes, she's doing the same program as me. Yeah.
Yes. So and Siska was on my podcast, and we're talking about from, you know, working with animals and working with people in different countries to talking about universal basic income. That and it's such a great pleasure talking about important issues with people who are, or with women who are in business and women who are exposed to various different countries and setup, and to talk about, listen, even when you say the word feminist, every single human in different culture have different meaning to that word. It can even be offensive to some people, right?
Or negative, seen as a negative thing.
Exactly, because it depends on what type of feminist movement that they have been exposed to. Is it the bra burning generation of feminism, or their feminism is like their mother worked, their mother's mother worked, and so on and so forth. So yeah, that was actually my dissertation research, was how people's background and how they live their life affect how they mean words.
And I think that's the thing, because us as being humans, we have learnt communication. I mean, I'm sure animals have, we just don't understand what they're saying. Unless your doctor did it at all, but it's
meows mean something.
Yeah, so looking at you by the food bowl, that you kind of got an idea. But in terms of communication, is so massive, isn't it? In terms of how we can integrate as humans, and how something really positive can happen or something very negative. I mean, we see that on social media, don't we?
Yeah.
And how something can be taken one, you know, how communication or way people wording can go down different avenues. And I guess it's, for me, how what I'm doing, because we haven't even really got into what each other does yet. So it's I'm about health empowerment. And I do that through as a hands-on bodywork therapist, but I look at that from an emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual, energetics aspect. And that then is looping back into how to help other people to understand their bodies better and to know what their body is presenting them, whether it's physically pain or mental pain, to work through that, because your body is giving you messages to connect with. And most of the time, pain and disconnection is because there is a disconnection between your whole self. And it's about coming back into yourself to understand and to reconnect.
Yeah.
And we often are so disconnected to our body because we're so up in our headspace. We're so busy and thinking we've got lots to do, and we look at other people doing stuff. And I have this tendency to see people so busy, and it's such a fear response that you feel like you have to do.
You're missing out.
Yeah. Yes. But also you're thinking, well, if I'm not doing that, then I'm going to get left behind somewhere.
Yeah. That's why sometimes I have to remind myself, like, if we look at the horse race, you don't have to put a special type of, I call it glasses.
Yeah.
It's not made of glasses. To prevent the horse to look at any other distraction, to just focus at the finish line. And if we see swimmers, they don't look left and right.
No.
Sprinting, right? They just focus and flip back again, focus and flip back again. And they will know the result after.
And is that sort of how you work in terms of, because you're coaching, aren't you, in terms of
actually so what I do revolves around content and communications. The coaching is only a smaller aspect, because a lot of people that I help, a lot of female founders that I help, they're at the point where their business is about to go big. They don't have their own marketing team, but they have to immediately outsource it to someone or delegate it to someone. So they hire me and my team to help them with their content. And by content, I don't even mean just social media, but like what we're doing now, podcasts, blogs, newsletter, everything, because that is how we communicate to the world. That is how we can prove that we are prove to our investors that, look, we are getting traction, we're getting attention from potential buyers, etc.
So it's about being visible. It's about helping them become discoverable.
Exactly. And also to help them test, because a lot of people, so my niche is female founders in tech companies. And a lot of people, I guess 10-20 years ago, the mindset was that let's build something that is ready to be put on the shelf on the market, then we'll announce. A lot of people call it the stealth. We are in stealth mode, as in they're building, and they don't even want to put their website on their LinkedIn profile or Facebook page yet, because also they have the feeling of, I don't want my idea to be copied by other people, by competition. And two, they feel like, it's not a finished product. You can't see it yet. I'm too embarrassed to show it to you. That there's a factor of that as well. There's a work in progress. But these days, investors are looking towards, look, everything is an iterative process anyway. It's never a finished product. Facebook today and Facebook 2 months ago and Facebook, a decade ago is still a work in progress, and it's completely different. Facebook was built for students in universities. It was so specific.
Oh, wow.
And today it's a media company with advertisement here and there, and it's a massive giant. And of course, when it was built, it wasn't necessarily designed to be like what it is now.
So everything evolves, doesn't it? And I can hear what you're saying there is actually, from my own perspective, actually, because I'm launching a new company called the Infinity Health Hub, which is an online platform to empower others in their health, and want to go the whole corporate route to offer it as an employer health solution, employee wellbeing solution. And there's definitely Miss Perfectionist sitting on my shoulder going, it's not quite finished. It's not quite finished. And it's kind of, when do you take that handbrake off and just go, you know what? It's not nothing's perfect, actually, but maybe it's perfect just as it is.
Yeah.
And you have to just take that step of courage and know that it's enough, which is always a fear factor that plays out for me.
Gemma, I think when you include the word enough, that is where we're setting ourselves up to fail, because the word, perfect, enough. If we're, in tech world, we always call, the beta version, right? I would prefer that the way we live, the day-to-day life, this is our beta version. This is Rebecca is living beta version, because I know until I finish living, that is always going to be better. Because as well, at the same time, if we're chasing towards that perfection and finish line, okay, when we reach this feature and that feature, then we'll launch. That is also limiting ourselves from growth, because that means, after that feature is launched, I'm never gonna improve my product anymore, because that is already perfect, which is a foolish thing to do, right?
Yeah.
We flip it, knowing that, instead of thinking in perfection or whether or not it's enough, thinking as in, okay, let's do a milestone. Like, okay, with this feature, my users can already do ABC. Eventually, they will be able to do DEF.
Yeah.
And then they will do so and so. So I think even not in a tech context, like, for example, so my company is a tech-enabled company, which is basically, if you want to reduce it to 2 words, you would call it as a marketing agency. So as a marketing agency, if you don't have such growth mindset, as you mentioned, is it enough? When do I launch? I wouldn't even launch today if I think that way, because my marketing agency, we don't have the capacity yet to do paid advertisement, for example. I'm not confident enough to offer that as a service. But imagine if I have to wait until I can have exactly that.
Yeah.
Have all black belts in every single marketing and features until I go to market, I will be losing my market share. People already hire other people. So
yeah. And I think it's quite, which is interesting, this is leading me into because I'll be launching a course on the 5th of September, and it's about being curiously and courageously you. And it's really about understanding your body through your health, relationships, and work. So you're diving deep into yourself and your body through meditation and different things and self-support. But it's what really comes up for me is, when did we lose the curiosity of just exploring in growth? When you think of us as young children, I mean, we don't necessarily remember that, but when we tried to do our first walk, we weren't thinking, well, what if I fail? What if I keep landing on my ass? There wasn't even that kind of...
There's no self-consciousness, like,
no.
Will people laugh at me when I fall?
Yeah.
Right?
When does fear of failure come in and start shitting on our shows? And it's just kind of, when does that come up? And it's recognizing that fear of failure has somehow impedes our joy in life, our just trying things, just being curious, and just having the courage to do it. And
as soon as you care, as soon as you put so much value on other people's opinion of you, that is when you start being shy of trying something new or trying to stretch yourselves. Because that's the thing. If I go and ask anyone at any age and say, what's the worst can happen?
It's the Dr. Pepper advert, I call that. It's like, what's the worst thing that can happen? It's like, well, actually, when you write it down, nothing much, really.
Unless you are a brain surgeon, or a heart surgeon, basically, unless you're a medical professional
with a knife.
With a knife or a prescription pad, what is going to happen? You're not like my husband and I, we both work with words and graphics, and what is the worst can happen if we publish the wrong picture, or if we wrote a typo? What is the worst can happen? The stock market is not going to crash.
No, and sometimes it just makes you look human, and then by you looking human makes you feel more approachable. It makes people want to resonate with you and wants to go, because I think it's that fear of perfection or thinking that everybody has got it right is what creates this mental health issues that we have, because we're all trying to present, well, not all of us, but a lot of it seems like we've got to just present something, whereas underneath there's a whole load of different stories going on. And I think the more integral, the more authentic we can be is actually what people really want.
Yes.
They want to know that someone else is losing their shite sometimes, and that's okay.
We are putting pressure on ourselves too much. We are the hardest judge, I think.
Do you think women are worse? Do you think women are worse at it, whereas men?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And that is why I focus my work on helping female founders, because they're the ones who need help the most. Plus, I don't want our tech to be designed by men who, for the most part, do not care about what women need, what families need, what the elderly, what the young children need. So that is exactly why. And I see women have so much self-doubt that eventually those doubts will prevent her from speaking out their ideas, and those ideas can be life-saving, and us as a society are losing out from those ideas. So that is why I'm like, come on, women, you have great ideas. This is an example that came to my mind. There's a mom, I think earlier this year, there's a mom who designed a helmet that is in a shape that would accommodate, the Sikh's bun.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Helmets are designed for just normal head without the bun. And guess who had the thought to do that? Of course, moms, because moms worry about their kids and so on. And actually do something about it.
That's incredible. No, and I believe that we are all here for a reason, that we all have a purpose, and we all have a uniqueness, and you couldn't have a rainbow with one or two colors. We are this full spectrum, and when we break out of this needing to be accepted, needed to be belong, because that is our fear-based primitive brain that is telling us. I mean, ultimately, we have evolved from being cavemen to need people around us to make sure we survived, because if you got rejected, you had no chance, really. Whereas we have evolved from that, where we're not needing community for survival. It's more about choosing the right community for your thriving, and
use your tribe
as your tribe. And that comes from people that accepting you for who you are as you accept yourself, and support and growing. And I've really picked up on sisterhood. And when I've done meditation and really dived into that, it was so powerful. It was so powerful. There was just so much love, that wars, abuse, child abuse, all this wasn't there because you had that intense love and support through that sisterhood. But it got broken down with fear and set against each other, as we have seen quite a lot, through our humanity. We've seen that coming through, like the witch trials, and just basically taking away women's power. And you often get a lot of, weirdly, with women can be quite antagonist against each other. If someone's succeeding, some don't like it. And I kind of looked into that, and it's like, well, that is, if you're jealous of somebody, it's because you believe that if someone else has it, you can't have it.
Exactly.
The scarcity.
Perfect. So I have a business coach that said something so simple, yet such a common sense. She said this just a couple of weeks ago. Listen, imagine your ideal client or customer. Imagine all of them. Imagine they say yes to hiring you today. Will you even be able to accommodate and serve them all today? You won't. Right?
Mm-hmm. Nope.
You have to say no to all of these dream clients. Like imagine the entire Fortune 500 companies want to hire you today.
Yeah.
You will never be able to, right?
Mm-hmm.
So knowing that you won't have enough hands, enough time in your day to serve all, you must acknowledge that the world needs more than just one provider, more than just one of your kind.
Yeah,
and
definitely. And I think this is the thing where you got the paradox of like the whole scarcity, which is the fear base, and then you've got abundance. And we're seeing that playing up. A lot of the media is playing this whole scarcity, and there's loads of money in this world. It's just being siphoned off in the wrong direction.
Yes.
And I went to Sardinia like a couple of weeks ago, and for me that was just a massive injection or connection to the feminine energy. It was really, really powerful. But what it has come up with is that we're breaking down these old structures of money, power, control, and sex. It's this, they've all been intertwined. They've all been manipulated and controlled over one another. It's not been a positive, consensual exchange. Now we're looking at, because I believe money is feminine, from what I've connected to. Now, I used to think it was masculine.
Can I double click on that? Because a lot of people see money, the act of selling, closing and everything, as something as a masculine energy. So I want to double click on that. And can you expand on why you think money is feminine energy? Because I want more people to believe in that.
Okay, so I initially thought it was masculine because it's quite the doing, the present, it creates action, which is the masculine energy. But since Sardinia, go in there, frigging incredible place. If you ever want to tap into your feminine energy, go there. I mean, for me, it really connected to Atlantean energy as well. But what happened to me there was this whole connection of channeling and drawing sacred geometry.
Hold on, you went to Sardinia on a special retreat, or
no, just a few days away on my own, and that was it. Not knowing I was going there for just some rest. Didn't know this was going to happen.
Okay. Tell me more.
So this is the 21st of June. So this is the summer solstice, and all of a sudden I can feel the energy of the earth, of Sardinia, what she is, and the whole aspect of it. And like I say, it links to Atlantean because the mountains there, they think they should be volcanic because it's coming up from the ocean, but they're not. They're just proper mountains. And the answer to that came through me was because of the flooding, which is what they call the fall of Atlantis, was this massive flooding, which a lot of texts talk about, flooding with God, Noah, loads of different cultures will talk about this mass flooding. And the signs that I was drawing were, which I didn't know, it was very fortunate, as divine works this out. There's a gentleman was there that knew the mythology of Greece. And I was drawing these symbols of Greek mythology about Persephone and Pluto. And behind that, the seed of the pomegranate, the seed of the dead, was actually that Pluto took Persephone non-consensually. She was so beautiful. She was the daughter of the earth, Demetri. And he took her to the underground. And that's when Mother Earth just started crying. Mass flood. So then there came this agreement that she could come back 6 months of the year. It's come out and then go back, which links a lot to the daffodils and to corn, the seasons. But she took a pomegranate down with her and she never came back. So when I connected into this, as it was just evolving, because I didn't know any of that. So this was just me trusting it because, well, otherwise you think you're going a bit loopy. So it's quite fortunately there was an interpreter to understand what I was doing. And it was a lot of remorse and from Pluto, because he non-consensually took.
Yeah.
Because they made an agreement to say that she could come back, but Mother Earth was still not happy. She was still pissed. This was actually shouldn't have happened in the first place. Okay, so I'm accepting this agreement, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
There was a real kind of like anger that she couldn't express. She just had to sort of accept it.
Yeah.
But Persephone, to me, is gold. She is the gold, the bright golden light that has gone into the earth, which man, through thousands of years, have taken as regality, as money, as power, and has disembodied that. But as connecting to it, through the rise of the feminine, Persephone's coming back. But she's coming back whole. And she is money. She is that currency. She is that abundance. And it's this rising of the feminine, which all male and female can get it, but the female body is really imprinted and blueprinted to absorb that. She is ready. So our bodies are open to receive this. And when we do the healing, that healing work between the masculine and the feminine. So a lot of us, if we've had masculine issues where non-consensual power through abuse or control has been there, we have to heal through that. We need to heal not just our lifetime, but what we've carried through, imprinted.
Yeah. Oh, that is beautiful, because even that paired with the actual numbers where companies with female CEOs perform better in the stock market, female investors get more return of their investment. All of this facts is matched with all from the tales, from the spiritual guidance, all of that. We tick all the boxes that we women should be leaders, not the only leaders, but we also have to lead.
It's equality. It's equality.
Exactly. We have to play our strength in the right. That is what people managers are is about. Put the best players in the right position, right? That is what coaching and managers are for in any field. So knowing that women is actually very good at money, with money, we should be in charge of a lot of things concerning wealth, be it in a family setting, but all through to running a country.
Yeah.
Right? So that is why I think, because the notion, we are still living as if we were still in the hunter and gatherer era. We are still operating as if we are in the imperialism era, where, God, gospel, and gold, right? Like the only way is to go there at war and acquire something. There's no diplomacy, there's no anything. So that's why the perception was still that money or wealth is masculine. Only way to get it is to actually kill someone.
To take from somebody else. Yeah.
Non-consensual,
yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, I've just got tingles. So whenever I get confirmation, it's always like a tingle down the spine. So, and that's the thing, and that's what's breaking down this whole concept of what money is, how you have to earn it, and what it looks like. We are actually going to be encouraged to completely change our relationship with money, but you have to heal both aspects. So for instance, if with my life, the masculine hadn't played out very well for me, it was very abusive very early on. So my relationship with masculine has been very put a defense up, don't let it in, and that has resonated in different energy with health issues for myself, by not allowing that masculine, that structure, that boundary, which is what that masculine is about, to have the discernment of what's pure and what's not. But rather than a healthy boundary, it becomes a barrier. So you're not allowing yourself to receive, but your female also about the receiving.
Yes.
So, but if you're not going to let yourself receive because you're not allowing your masculine to hold that boundary, you're not going to receive.
Yeah.
Or you're going to receive something you're not wanting to if you haven't got the right boundaries. So it's the balance between the two. And this is what I saw the Libra sign as well. So this is about, it's not saying women are better than men. This isn't about this. This is about actually bringing the power up to equality. Yeah. And it's coming up for the rising feminine.
Exactly. And going back to my point, just put the best person on the right job.
Yeah.
Right? Because again, if I'm thinking about from sports to medicine to even practice in the court of law, every person plays a certain role, and one person cannot be good at every single role. So whereas I disagree with, this is a man's job, this is a woman's job. No, you break it down to the actual capacity and capability and experience. And you will never know unless you have a container full of diverse talent, right?
Yeah.
No, this is the best person, regardless of the
age, sex, gender,
place. This is the best person, and that person is a custom built executive for you, because that person, with the combination of their experience and their trauma and their personal resilience, will make them the best, let's say, trauma surgeon, or the best at sales or business development, the best at being on the floor in the stock market, because they have all of that built in. The custom built thing that people often forget. I personally choose to hire women for my company, because even though I know that regardless of sex and gender, every person has their own strength, but I put another layer that women all this time have been the one that is, you know, the second degree citizen, the less important of the group and so on. So I feel, back to the money again, if I have the money or the power to create jobs, I will prioritize it for women, because I know that when I give women money, I give them freedom, the key to freedom and the
liberation.
Exactly. So
Choice.
that means a lot more than giving men money.
And I think what I feel like you is you're that Libra again. So it's not that you're saying one's more important than the other. You're just trying to find a balance. Yeah. You're trying to be this, I don't want to say cheerleader, because that just doesn't, but you're really like kind of, this is that you're seeking that balance.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, did you mention you have a card?
For you, yes. Okay, let's see. I'll see which one we want for you.
What do you do with the cards, by the way?
Okay, so I've got lots of different ones, you know, so they're not so much tarot cards, they're more oracle cards. Ooh, and they vary from keepers of the light, gateways. So, but for you, and how I select it is because I've asked my body what my yes and no answer is. Okay, so you could do this. So you can sit and you can use a crystal, or you can use your body. And my eyes blink. So if it's a yes, I have it like a double blink. Oh. If it's a no, they don't really move. So this is this is about really using your power of your body to know, to have that intuition. So it's not just
what people say, I feel it in my gut.
Yes. Yeah, you've got 100 million neurons in your gut, separate to your brain,
isn't it?
Yeah, it has its own brain, but we don't often tend to give it importance or value. We tend to just try and keep the head. And our heart has 5,000 times the frequency of our brain. So what this can't compute, the heart totally gets and understands, and that's where our soul sits. So everybody's body may be different. So yeah, for me, I'm just going to ask, what's the right card for you? So Rebecca, you're getting one of these, which is a Carl Gray. So, okay, so now what I do is I just give them a shuffle and just see, and move this out of the way. And just give that a feeling. So I'm just setting the intention. It's the right card for you. Okay, so Rebecca. So I'm split in 3. I tend to use my left hand as my receiving, which is again feminine, left hand side. So Rebecca. Just going to make a decision in a minute. Okay, so you have, I wouldn't surprise, Mercury.
Oh, what does that mean?
So he's open communication. So get a weight off your chest, speak up with love, and be heard. So the fact that you're so, communication is your key, isn't it? Which is what I class as the throat chakra. Ah. So I think this is all about getting truth out. And intuitive, it's about coming from your heart. So, and this is what I believe is actually when we're speaking from our heart, we will only ever receive love back because we're in that higher frequency. Yeah. If we speak from a fear perspective, we often get fear back through negative comments and different things like that. So, but like you say, if everything's an energy, word is energy. Everything has a tone, a vibration. So when you're speaking with a tone and a vibration that's coming with the essence of love, empathy, compassion, you're only ever going to receive that because it's this layer of energy. Fear can't meet it because fear is so much lower. So this is about really expressing yourself. Oh, wow. And let me see if I can find this bit more about Mercury. So communication, it can be whole like platforms, social media, all these different forms of way of communicating.
By the way, how do you use your this oracle card in your work? Like in what phase or what section in your work that you use this card?
Okay, so for me, I do it as like a regular thing. So I sit down with meditation. If I need to feel like I choose a card, I ask the universe to show me what I need for my highest good today, or thank them for revealing. But from my work, when I'm working with people, it's, again, which is mostly my one-to-one at the moment, but it will be going forward. It'll be going through doing like courses, etc. But I actually will select those relevant. So I get a variety of cards. So if people are coming to me for their body work, what's going on for them emotionally, through their business, because ultimately our whole business is us, our relationships. We are not these decompartmentalized things that we think we are. So if something's not going on in the bedroom, if things aren't going on with your relationships, your work's not going to happen for you. So you have to look at everything as whole. And that's how I treat my people when they're with me physically. But with the course that I'm creating and the hub, the Infinity Health Hub, it's about recognizing every aspect of your body, your health, your relationships, and your work are all one thing. But most of the time, it's your body will show up if you're not listening.
You know what? It makes me want to go and drive to your house, because I'm sure the experience will be different, as in it will be a lot better if we do it in person, isn't it?
Yes, definitely.
Right? Yeah. Because then you can feel my energy in person. You can feel the frequency and so on. So how many other cards? So you open 3 cards for each person?
So it depends. I literally will ask what needs to be shown. So I get out of my head completely and just kind of, this is nothing to do with me or what I think or my perceptions or expectations.
So there's no structure or there's no prescription.
Exactly. And I literally step myself aside, let divine.
So you're just quote unquote a medium.
Yeah.
Through.
Yeah. And I purely set the intention for your highest good to ask me what you need to hear today. And that for me, and actually because I can connect to your body, I try not to do it like unless I'm being consensually asked, but I can connect to your energy field without being present. And I can, if you want me to share, are you comfortable with me sharing?
Yeah.
So I can feel it between your solar plexus and your heart. So it's sort of like just sits kind of, if I put myself literally just about there.
Okay.
That's where I'm feeling where you've got this. It could be like an anxiety, or it could be it's something that's wanting to come out and to be expressed, but there's that fear of what's the response to it. And so I would say for you, sit, just breathe, let yourself ground, just feel your coccyx, feel your seat bones, feel your feet, take a walk in the summer rain, whatever you need to do, and just let yourself land. And then that will come up and you will just feel your truth from your heart. And then you'll just know. And there might be some emotion that comes up, but that will clear for you. That's what I'm feeling.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So, but I would always say with anything, ground. We have to be grounded. We have to be in our bodies. And I know from my experiences through childhood trauma is that our coping mechanism is to come out of the body and to, which is a lot of time what takes us up into our spiritual connection. Because it's nicer up there, let's face it. No one's assholes up there. And you just think, oh, this is so much nicer.
Put that in a t-shirt. There's no asshole in the spirit realm.
No, exactly. And down here in like the old 3D worlds can be a little bit too intense. And which I think is where a lot of people have mental issues or because they're not balanced or they're not grounded into their bodies. And we're so not grounded anymore. We have rubber on our shoes. We have concrete on our floors. How often do we generally take our shoes off and go and walk on the grass? How do we go for a sea swim? How often do we actually go into nature? And this is about for us to really make sense of things, we have to be in our body, which can be scary, because if there is trauma there, or is there pain there, we don't want to, because we don't want to relive it. But we're carrying like a lead weight with us unless we connect to it. And once you connect to it, you're not going to go through it again. You're literally just realigning like neural tubes to the physical neurals, and then you can let it go. And then you're freer, then you're lighter, then you can experience more joy, then you can speak from your heart with more expression, because you're no longer fearing, or we have a belief system that tells you that you can't speak your truth, you're not safe to speak your truth. You actually are safe. So for you, as a mantra or an affirmation, I am safe to speak my truth.
Yes.
I love speaking my truth. It's, you know, I speak from my heart. When I speak from my heart, I receive love back. Whatever it is that feels really aligned with you.
Yes, that's powerful, because with, you know, being a woman, being a mother, being Asian, there's another layer of pressure, right?
Yeah. What's that pressure then? Excuse my ignorance. Is that people's perception of what you think?
In Asia, yeah, we are very, very tribalistic in that we have to conform.
Okay.
Right. So anything as basic as putting your makeup not the same way as your tribe can be a source of gossip and judgment and exile and things like that. Like, and Asians are always, as you can imagine, very religious, whatever religion that they're brought up to be. They would very, very much follow their community or their parents' religion.
Okay.
And so you have the tribal culture set of norms, plus you have this religious norms. So all in all, you me as a child, I grew up to be always the what do you call it, the outlier.
The outliner.
Yeah, the outlier. Like
okay.
in the statistics, I'm always the outlier, because and it's so strange. And so in Southeast and South Asian culture, the light skin is the one that is perceived as the best.
Wow.
Presumably because it means they don't go out in the field and work as a peasant, as a farmer. Right? Because so it means they're inside a princess, clean, white as rice, and so on.
Right, so more pure, I guess.
Pure, yes, pure, and the clean aspect, I guess.
Right.
And translucent, and all of these
vagina, get my words out right. The virgin, wherever.
So the fact that I'm not the dark, I don't have the darkest skin, but I don't have fair skin, and that was an embarrassment, a source of embarrassment. Like, oh my God, you should put on face mask, you should do some kind of beauty ritual treatments to lighten your skin. So even as a teenage girl, us in South Asia and in Southeast Asia, we're already conditioned to be like that. And if you see the commercials, the ads on TV, on magazine, is always like, use this moisturizer, you will be white. Use this shampoo.
Oh my God. Do they do any of that for men, out of interest?
Yes, recently, yes.
In terms of telling them what they've got to look like?
No, because my husband is absolutely like 100% white. And so back when we were living in Asia, he had troubles finding men product for him because everything is with whitening. It's like, how more white can I be?
Oh, crikey.
To be transparent. So yeah, so for men too, because it's then perceived that you are not blue collar, right?
Wow. There's so much judgment and belief systems and
Exactly.
not actually honoring just uniqueness, is there?
Exactly. And then, of course, um, and it's on a day-to-day conversation as well. Like, oh, you look dark, like that. Not like in the Western culture where, oh, you look tan. Have you been to Sardinia recently? You know, things like that. Have you been to
Yeah.
Mallorca? You know, so it's a completely different setting, a different mindset as well when looking at things, meaning even the color of your skin. I'm not even talking about race. I'm talking about like actual complexion. So yeah, for the longest time in my teenhood, it gave me a lot of, you know, oh, do I need to like cover myself up when I'm under the sun just so that I don't not that I don't burn, but so that I don't tan. Isn't it crazy? So in Asia, we use SPF, we use sunblock to prevent ourselves from quote unquote getting ugly, not
Right.
to protect ourselves from melanoma. No.
No,
So
that's for me, that just feels, I know that's accepted now, but that just feels so sad, isn't it? How people have always got that verbatim going on in their head, like, what should I be doing?
yes.
Which behind that should word for me feels like shame and guilt.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you're resonating in that level, when you're doing anything because you think you should do it,
Yes.
you're creating a low vibration in your body.
Absolutely.
And you're blocking yourself from joy.
Yes, because you're like, the amount of energy that we put that we spend on thinking about what to do, what not to do, and so on. And that is why I'm such a proponent of this. We should let women or people who have periods just have periods, because like just the other day I saw because it's Wimbledon season, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now they're saying, oh, for female athletes or athletes who menstruate, they don't have to wear white. And while it's all sounds well-intentioned, as in it gives accommodation for us who don't want to be embarrassed with our blood, my question goes to, why do we even have to be embarrassed that we have blood?
I know. I was thinking that because I'm on, and you just think the fear of like that gets shown and stuff, and it's like, where does that come from? Why is it dirty?
Exactly. Money is considered dirty. One thing for money is considered dirty, right? If women ask for a raise, we're perceived as, oh, you're a gold digger, blah blah blah. But when men is asking for money, it's like, oh, you're such a provider, you're such a winner, and so on. And women, and it's so crazy, when we say we're virgins, we're like, oh, you're so pure. But then when you're pregnant, you're, oh my God, you're so good, you're so fertile, you're the ideal woman. But then how does women get pregnant? Women will have to have sex first to get pregnant.
We're not all Mother Mary, are we?
Exactly. So we skip the part where we have to have that quote unquote dirty again, that sex is dirty. So skip the part where you do the dirty thing to get you pregnant. And then if you don't get pregnant, you get shamed as well as a woman. Ooh, you're barren, you're such a outcast, etc. And so on and so forth. But you also forget the fact that in order for women to have sex, to be able to get pregnant, you have to have your period as well, right? So such a cherry picking, like, look, and when you give birth, you bleed as well.
A lot.
Motherfuckers.
It isn't pretty.
Whichever way you give birth, it will involve a lot of blood and poop, by the way. So
yours or the babes or both? Yes, yeah, both. Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, I mean, why are we shaming or skipping the part that is imperative to the process of all these beautiful things? if you don't bleed, you're not fertile. I know there are some exceptions. I'm not talking about that, but the why are we shaming women? Not only shaming, but we're taxing women. We're not paid well enough. We have to, just imagine two young people getting same job, getting same minimum wage. Let's say there's no gender pay gap, but this woman will have to buy period product, right? So already she's being taxed for just the fact that she is bleeding naturally, doing what Mother Nature requires her to do, that she would be shamed for if she didn't. So
I think that just the whole shame, guilt, it's just a fear base of separation, to hide, to keep people out of their power. And I think we're all having to ditch those layers of the shame and the guilt, wherever that lays within us, because we'll all have different aspects of it. And it's like, a bit like you were saying, there's this really messy part of life.
Yeah.
There's also really beautiful parts of light, and that's light and shadow, and neither can exist without the other. And it's about the beauty of all of it, basically. And it's our light and our shadows, our fears, and what gifts we have. It's also the whole process. And if we can just start to shift these fears that kind of suppress people from being their true self, we would be in such a much more beautiful community, society. Absolutely. And I believe we're actually going through that. So we're actually going through that really messy birthing process right now. We're going through this.
The pandemic was the contraction.
Completely, yes.
That was necessary to make this change. I fully believe. When I moved to England literally because of the pandemic. So I moved here during the pandemic. So my husband worked for a company that was experiencing massive loss because of the pandemic. So he had to be let go. So we had to then come back to England. For him, it's coming back. For me, it's just, this is completely new for me. But when people see that, like, oh my God, you have completely no money, basically like the rug is pulled away from under us. For me, I'm like, no, this is the growing pain.
It's also a huge opportunity to start from where you want to begin from.
Exactly. It was such an embarrassment. Nobody wanted to. These days, people talk about layoff like it's just another thing. But especially in Asian culture, if you're being laid off, gosh, there's so many suicides in Japan. Simply for failing an exam, you kill yourself. You get laid off, you kill yourself. It's not even in the news anymore because it's just a part of the culture. If you fail, you literally, physically just off yourself. Okay.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it's a thing. If you fail, so like back in the like war era, if you fail, you go in front of your war general, you take your sword, you kill yourself in front of your general as an admittance of accountability.
Okay.
So that is just part of the culture. So yeah, we had that shame, that fear as well. We have 3 young children under the age of 7. I just gave birth 6 months prior to my husband being let off. So, but I know there's enough food for everyone, right? And I think the definition of luck is such a loaded thing that I'm thinking like, you know what? I will just create my own luck. Because you think that I'm so unlucky that my husband's laid off, but you know what? I can see it as lucky. Well, my husband is British, and therefore my kids have British nationality, and whatever happens to me, my kids are going to be safe. I'm not a British citizen. They can kick me out tomorrow if they want to. But for me, it's like, oh, that's fine. Because my mindset is like, if I'm Titanic, my kids have their lifeboats, I'm fine. You know, I have given birth, I serve my purpose. So that's why, okay, let's move to England. At least the healthcare is free, the school is free. So that's the lifeboat for my kids.
Yes.
Because in the pandemic, what can you think about? Healthcare is number one, right? So literally, okay, let's move there. I let go of all of my ego. I was the madam. I never cut my own nails and whatnot. I cook 3 times a day, serve my kids, and my husband is cleaning the toilet. But we let go of that ego because we are thinking, how lucky are we that we have the option to move to what I would call a safe haven. Because imagine being in the pandemic in a third world country. That's another challenge. So yeah, everything is about the mindset, perspective, and if you choose to grow, you will grow. It's a matter of choice. So when you say empowerment, a lot of people confuse the word empowerment. What does that mean? For me, it's like the fact that you have the right to choose, and then you make the choice for you. That is my definition.
Choice is power.
Yes.
That's the key.
Exactly.
And I think we always have a choice. It's fear that will make us think we don't.
Yes.
And that is about everything that I do from a health aspect. Is about giving awareness so that people can create their conscious choices of change, and that they can decide that actually I do have a choice. And once you know that you've got a choice, you have hope.
Yes.
And when you have hope, and hope is not just this lovely, fluffy word, it's friggin' powerful.
That is fuel.
It is massive. And it's kind of like, I don't quite know how this is going to turn out, but I believe that it will. And then all of a sudden, you've shifted your energy. You've shifted into this capacity to receive, to allow this energy to support you and guide you. And you have this navigation from your heart of where you want to go. And you don't necessarily have to know what it looks like, but you go from the feeling of it.
And that first step.
And that is stronger than placebo. You know, they talk about, they do drugs trials and things, and like the placebo effect. That's actually just, I could get better. Have hope, add on a whole load of like, here's your choices. You're going to be far more powerful than that.
Absolutely.
And that's why drugs only come out if they're actually any more effective than the placebo. So you take on that, and you with the hope that you can change things, and you've got the power and the choices. That's not luck. That is you deciding your future, deciding your plan. I mean, you can change your DNA structure, your epigenome, purely through your emotional state. So you can be negative, which is what we call stress. Well, negative stress is in like chronic stress, not stress just going for a run or something. You can change your DNA expression. If you change it from a positive, you can change it again. So not only, okay, you've had the bad hand DNA from your imprinting from your parents and from all that aspect, you can still change your epigenome expression. So it really comes with the miracle of your shift of your perception, which is what you talked about. And that's empowerment.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Gemma. This is like, I can talk to you all day.
We could, I think, but we have to probably limit it, don't we?
Because I do have another meeting coming up, but it's such a conversation that we've had as practically strangers. That only shows that we just attracted each other's energy through this little thing called social media, right? Yes. And I fully believe that when you have good intention coming into any platform, you go on Twitter, you go on LinkedIn, or whatever, you go there with good intention, you get it back.
Yes.
That's why I don't get a lot of spam or cold calls or whatever. A lot of people get a lot of BS in their DM. I don't. because I fully believe, because what I put out there, people appreciate. And that filters out those spammers.
And you're coming from an energy of what you want, your liberation, you want freedom, you want power, you want love. There's, so you're coming from that energy field. If you're coming from like oh, this isn't right, I must change this and I'm going to attack this, or you're going to get fight energy back, but you're coming from a loving perspective.
Yeah, let's hang out, sister.
Yeah, you're just going to receive that back. So yeah. So this is brilliant. And I think, your Mercury card is there, so just crack on, keep doing what you're doing, basically. Just keep speaking from your heart.
Yes, it's such a validation, because for so long, people have been, putting barriers with rules, norms, pressure, and even algorithm, like, oh, you have to post this sort of thing, that sort of thing to go viral, etc. But yes, I thank you so much for opening that card for me. It means a lot, because I fully believe when you genuinely want to help people, that is the best, that is the best place to start.
Definitely. I think everything's about heart consciousness. COVID brought out heart consciousness. It's bringing people to come to this involvement and people to grow for who they are and finding who they are, breaking down the bullshit and the belief systems that you've carried that blocks you from being you, and just be you. And, if it doesn't feel good, then it's fear, it's ego. If it feels good, it's true. So just keep trusting that, and actually even just energetically going, okay, I want to be visible, I want to be discoverable, I'm not scared about being and I must hide in the shadows anymore. Just that energetic shift can change. You don't have to go and faff around with a load of algorithms. Just bring your energy into you and you will just facilitate out. So yeah,
you are not for everyone. You don't even like everyone.
Nope.
So why fit any mold? So thank you so much, Gemma, for
You're welcome.
Reaching out and doing this. I will, once I get my driving license, I will drive.
You're coming to Devon.
I'm coming to Devon. And
perfect.
We're gonna have coffee in Lyme Regis Beach.
Sounds absolutely. Do a bit of a sea swim as well if you fancy it.
Absolutely.
Perfect. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.